Hey everyone, it's the 12 Days of Misfits. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is day 9. It is Tuesday, so this one's a little bit longer, and we get to have the fun of pulling it out of my stocking.
Yeah, these ones are a little bit more dangerous.
This
is also how I also got the bonus points last time.
This was how you got the bonus points, so you might be
if
able
that works
to,
in my favor
to
or
work
if I
your
go
way back
further down.
So today we are reading the chapter Hosea chapter 3.
This is the full chapter, right?
This is the full
a little
chapter.
Bit more meat to it.
And actually, that's not the reason we're reading the full chapter. And you'll see that once I actually can get this pulled up, since I cannot seem to navigate at all today. There we go. Wow, I turned right to it.
I also like that with your Bible here that there's highlighted parts. So I do try to look at that. Not that it was specifically highlighted.
No, it was highlighted
Christmas,
way before we decided to do this.
But I'm like, that's where I'm going to...
So the reason we're doing the whole chapter is because the whole chapter is only 5 verses.
It is hard to see.
It is hard to see. These lights are messing with the way that the verse numbers are. So this is Hosea chapter 3. Now, Hosea is a minor prophet. And you do need a little bit of context to even be able to begin to try to figure this out. So, chapter 1, verse 2 is one that I jokingly did actually for a Christian health curriculum I wrote for a high school class. Now, Brandon has not done... I don't know. Have you ever read the book of Hosea before? That you remember?
Again, parts, but it hasn't been probably all the way through, even though...
So, read verse 2 real quick. This sets up the stage.
All right, Hosea 1, chapter 1, verses 2. When the Lord first spoke to Hosea, he said to him, "Go and marry a promiscuous wife and have children of promiscuity, for the land is committing blatant acts of promiscuity by abandoning the Lord." Now,
that was the joking theme verse I did for a Christian health curriculum, was the Lord commands you to go marry a promiscuous wife.
At least it was a Christian class.
Yes,
otherwise
the
public schools would have...
The parents were not too sure after they read it until they realized that I was just seeing if they were actually going to read the syllabus that I sent home for them to sign. So, Hosea goes and marries Gomer, who is a prostitute. They have 3 kids. They name them weird names because, God always has the prophets that have children name them weird names to prove a point. And then in chapter 2... Hosea is throwing a huge fit, and rightfully so, because Gomer has left him and gone back to being a prostitute and left him with the 3 kids. And so Hosea is going off, telling the kids, your mother is a prostitute. Don't be like her. Don't even associate yourselves with her. Don't even call her your children. He goes off, until he realizes in verse 14 that this is not actually about him and Gomer. This is about how the nation of Israel has treated God. This has all been a setup for God to make a point. Now, chapter 3. This is where we're getting into the actual part I want you to start trying to figure out. Because you needed the context in order to understand.
Yeah, otherwise I would
3.
have been like an Esther and done a goose egg.
Esther, you at least knew the context beforehand.
Yeah.
So this is chapter 3. Then the Lord said to me, "Go again and show love to a woman who is loved by another man and is an adulteress, just as the Lord loves all the Israelites, though they turn to other gods and love raisin cakes." Raisin cakes were typically only done in a way of worshiping of Baal and Asherah. That's the context there.
Not Raising Canes.
Not Raising Canes, and not like the Little Debbie raisin cakes. These are an act of pagan worship. And so verse 2, "So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and 5 bushels of barley. And I said to her, you must live with me many days. Don't be promiscuous or belong to any man, and I will act in the same way towards you. For the Israelites must live many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred pillar, without ephod or household idols. Then afterward the people of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king. They will come with awe to the Lord and to his goodness in the last days." Eschaton. We're just going to keep throwing that in every time we read last days.
There we go.
So, How does chapter 3 fit into the Christmas story?
This one is hard too.
That's why we're doing it on Tuesday.
And that's why it was in your stocking.
Yes.
Yeah, this is tough. And the only thing that's helping me at all is the title of chapter 3, Waiting for Restoration.
That gives you a little hint. Yes.
Yes. And that towards the end, just the longing for a new king. For the Israelites must live many days without king or prince, without sacrifice. And then afterwards, the people of Israel will return and seek the Lord their God and David their king. They will come with all in Lord to the goodness of the last days. Yeah, so the only thing I'm, again, pulling at is just longing for the king to return.
And specifically, which king?
King David.
Which we know what God's really saying here is you're longing for Jesus, who is David's heir.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That is the one section in here that actually mentions Jesus explicitly. But that is not actually where we see the Christmas story. Because the Christmas story is about the fact that we don't have to wait anymore. Right? I mean,
Yes.
that's the whole point. Now, Advent is the waiting period. So this section works good for Advent.
Okay.
And you do have a good understanding of that section. But go back to verse 2. Read that again.
All right, so verse 2 we have, so I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and 5 bushels of barley. So it was bought with a price.
Bought with a price. And this is where we need to actually start breaking down a little bit more, which is why we're doing this on Tuesday. By Jewish law, what happens to an adulterer?
Just the female.
Well, in general, actually, it's not just the female by
No?
Jewish law.
No? Okay.
It's actually supposed to be both. But Hosea has not committed adultery. Gomer has committed adultery here. So what by law is Hosea's right here? He should be able to have her what? Stoned to death.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is going on in context, we understand this is probably going on in a market setting, a public setting, which is where the stoning is supposed to be going on. So Gomer should be, probably she sees Hosea show up at the market. She's left him probably for a few months if we're going context-wise from the amount of grief that we see in chapter 2.
I think I'm getting it.
You think you're getting it?
Yeah.
And so she sees Hosea show up. She's probably now shaking her boots because, okay, here comes the first stone. Everybody, there is not even need for a trial. Everybody knows what she's been up to because she's been with probably just about everybody in that market. If they're there to potentially buy her. On top of that, by Jewish law, if Hosea is married to Gomer, if Gomer is his wife, does Hosea actually have any need to make a payment here to take her home?
No, because he's already the rightful owner.
Well, husband.
Yeah, owner as in
And
husband.
this is one of those things,
yes.
we, those of you that, go check out Bless Up Podcast. Go check out any of the things Rachel Hunka does because she lays it out much better than we will. Jewish law is kind of weird because it is ancient Eastern in terms of the way that women are treated. But at the same time, the provisions God puts in the law for women are way more than we normally give credit for. It's just the people never followed it. That's why Jesus has the whole cast the first stone thing with the woman, is because by law, the men should be being up there as well, not just the woman, even though they aren't going to put themselves up there.
Yeah, and that's why I said that part about the adultery at first. Is like, well, maybe both sides are, but that's
right.
Traditionally
And in modern day terms, we would say that Hosea probably would be an owner in terms of the fact he's already paid a wedding dowry. Mm-hmm. He does not need to buy her back. And on top of that, he doesn't owe her anything other than a stone to the head by law. But what does he do?
He decides to still buy her, again, with a with a price. And then says in verse 3, you must live with me many days. Don't be promiscuous or belong to any man, and I will act the same way towards you. So I almost think of it, not Christmas related, but almost the woman at the well of like, go and sin no more. Like, I don't condemn you. Whereas everybody else, again, go and sin no more, and I will kind of do the same thing.
Well, and that is part of it.
But I'm also
because he says the go and sin no more.
Yeah.
However, more than that, he then also offers a new promise to her.
A new covenant.
It's a new covenant on top of the one that they already had that she broke and Hosea had kept. And so, what we see here is, again, somebody that has no deserving of anything. Grace, mercy, nothing. But the person that is representing God in this image of what God is showing through his prophet here, goes to her to find her. He goes to the place that she is at in a public place, humbling himself, and then he goes and he makes the purchase that is not needed and unnecessary, and he doesn't even owe. And then when he brings her back, he offers a new covenant of grace and mercy of equal representation. Even though if Gomer runs off, the likelihood that Hosea is going to just cut her off is probably not likely, because at this point, Hosea actually gets what he's doing here.
Yeah.
This is much more than just, I'm going to buy back my wife that ran off. This is, I'm going to buy back my wife and show her the same grace that God is already showing me.
Yeah. Where my head was going was that we were bought with a price. That's why I was kind of talking about that.
Right.
We were made in Christ's image, and that we're his creation. And so that I'm kind of thinking that, not that he owns us in a way, because there's that love is what's is kind of the differentiator here, but that he didn't really have to do anything. Like he shouldn't have to do anything extra to show us love. But again, as we read before, but God, rich in mercy and loving, decided to give his son to take on the weight and sin of the world as that gift, as the price to pay death on the cross, but then raise again.
Exactly. And that's the full circle, beyond just the picture of how this fits into Christmas, into why Christmas actually matters. You know, the story of Christmas is not just the story of the nativity. The story of Christmas is the beginning of the story for Easter. You know, they're not two separate events in Jesus' life. It's a full picture of what God is actually doing in the Gospels and beyond, and before, which is why we're reading this in Hosea, and we read it in Genesis, and we read it in Esther and Daniel, and I think there's a couple more Old Testament in there, because I love the Old Testament prophets, especially when I get to watch your head spin trying to figure out what they're saying, because without context, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's why I don't think I deserve any points on this.
Oh, no, you get a half.
I get a
you
half.
Get a half.
I was like, I was
least,
head scratching at the beginning,
and
then as you explained more, yes. I was catching up. But
yeah, and you got more of, the second half of this, which is much more of the actual prophecy that Hosea gives from this event, is this idea of where, and this is where the title of the waiting for restoration is coming from. Because the Israelites are going to have to go a long time, no king, no prince, no sacrifice. I mean, not just the daily sacrifice, this is the yearly propitiation sacrifice. Mm-hmm. There's no altars, no pillars. The ephod is the thing that the priest wears. There's no ephod anymore. There's no way for them to be able to feel like God is still with them unless they understand what their covenant actually is. And so they are longing for the return of David, their king. And we know that David returns in the form of Jesus, who is God himself. Because David was the great king that unified Israel and that set them on a path that should have led them towards being the people that God intended them to be, even though his children didn't live up to their end of it.
Mm-hmm.
They ran off to the Asherah poles. They ran off to Baal. They ran off to get the raisin cakes. And now God is calling them back home and willing to pay the price for them. So, I think we're up to what? You're now at like what? Six?
6.5.
Yeah, you're at 6.5 out of 9. So we're slowly getting there. As long as you get half credit tomorrow, you're at 70%. So we're still in C range.
I still want you to go. Anytime you preach any more of these in public, you need to start filming the reaction of either your students or the congregation.
I didn't do this one during Christmas time.
Oh,
this one I did
for that class.
Yeah, that class I did that one verse to see if the parents were actually reading the syllabus when they were signing it and not just signing it. And then I did preach Hosea one summer. And I also did Hosea with a youth group for our Sunday school lessons one year, but I did not preach this for Christmas. Ephesians I preached for Christmas. Daniel chapter 2 I preached for Christmas, but I didn't do Hosea. That one I would not have done for Christmas. No. So anyway, it is Tuesday, so be sure to go check the website. I think by this airs, I may have actually gotten the website updated with the 12 Days of Misfits stuff. We had some health-related issues the past week or so the website has been taking a back seat. We do also still have the store up. Brandon is about to show off the beanie that finally came in. You're doing it over the headphones?
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, we'll let you model it here. So now that Brandon has his hat on, we can come back in here and talk through this. So you can donate csrm.org/donate. That money goes towards Misfits. It also goes towards all the work CSRM is doing. Just make sure you select Andrew Fouts in the drop-down menu. You can also give through Buy Me a Coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/ministrymisfits, as well as our Cash App, which the link is in our bio link. You can still go buy some stuff from the store, which we have some awesome stuff.
Like this hat, this nice beanie right here.
The nice beanie that Brandon finally got on once he realized he needed to take off his headphones.
For the cold winter.
That's right. You can also still buy the Tikva tee. That is still in the store. Again, 70% of the profit from that goes back to Tikva to support the work they're doing, which, did you see what they did this week? Or maybe it was last week. Well, I don't know. I can't remember when it was when we released this.
Their Facebook post?
Yeah.
I saw part of it. I don't know if...
Yeah, they were able to get a partnership with the YMCA for free swim lessons for the kids. So they're doing after-school swim lessons with the kids. Yeah,
the kids were... I was there last Monday. The kids were very excited to know that on Tuesday they were going swimming.
Yeah.
I also
so they're
saw
probably
some pictures of a kid getting dunked on.
Yes.
They're having the Christmas party, so that is not happening. I will be there later this week to participate in the Christmas party. Maybe I'll...
go live a little bit.
Yeah, share Esther 4 or something with the kids and see their reaction.
As long as you don't do Hosea 1 with kids of that age. I'm just saying that would not go over well. So anyway, we'll see how Brandon does tomorrow. We're slowly working his way back up.
6.5.
That's right. So day 10 tomorrow. We will see you all then.